from the Catholic Underground.
Today on the show, farewell to Sochi, NBC is resurrecting heroes, Bible movies abound, the new evangelization, our picks of the week, and so much more. The Catholic Underground starts now. Alrighty, it is time for the Catholic Underground. It is your weekly Catholic guide to the digital continent. It's episode number 258. I'm Father Chris Decker. If you are listening live, you can join us at catholicunderground.tv and get your chat on with us. Joining me this week, we've got Father Ryan Humphreys. He is the rector of the Minor Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in historic Natchitoches, Louisiana. Hello, Father.
Hello, world.
We've also got Jeff Blackwell. He's the technical director of the CU. He's the commandant of the Jeff Star 1 near-Earth orbit space communications satellite 6000. Hello, Jeff.
Good to be here, Father.
Yes, indeed. And Mary Kate Taylor is our video director of the live stream. She is unseen, but her work is seen very well. And, of course, Kathleen Lee is on assignment. So, Ite Olympia est, Deo Vladimir Putin. The Olympics are ended.
Okay.
Go in peace. How was my chant, Father?
Thanks be to God.
Was my chant okay there?
It was a delight.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, sure enough, the Olympics are officially over. They closed at around noon Central Time today, and of course that's February 23rd. And of course, Jeff, as you know, they actually began symbolically at 2014 hours.
No, I did not know that.
Did you know that, Father? Isn't that clever?
Yes, it's very clever.
Because it's 2014, you see.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I see what you did there with the universal coordinated time. So this has been perhaps one of the more boring Olympics in my estimation, but there's been a lot around it, huh? Hasn't there, Father?
Yeah, the sports weren't particularly interesting. Of course, there were huge numbers of new sports that basically no one participated in except Americans. And still, we were bored to tears. But there were scandals, there was outrage, and there were more crybabies at this Olympics than we have ever seen before, at an international sporting event like this. At the beginning of the Olympics, we had the embezzlement scandals.
Yep.
We had these substandard conditions. We had the inhumane treatment of animals, and we had media policies that were clearly written by Gorbachev and that were unsealed, Hunger Games style, right before this. And of course, we had big bad Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, it's really something. We kind of expect corruption, I suppose, in the former Soviet Union, but. This really has been kind of epic. Just the level of, we're not even going to try to fix it. We're just, that's the way that it is.
Yeah.
So
huge money spent, huge money stolen. It's obvious to people the money was stolen, and nobody seems to care. Like, well, it's what it is.
One of the things I didn't realize was that Sochi is actually a tropical climate.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had snowmaking machines. Like Dr. No.
Wow.
Step into my snowmaking parlor, Mr. Bond.
And they built these giant barns to store snow.
Yeah.
For years.
I guess they did the same thing in Vancouver. They
True.
did. They were.
Did
worried,
they really?
Yeah, they were worried about availability of snow on some of the ski courses, and so they.
Why don't we have the Winter Olympics at a place where there's winter?
Father Ryan, now that's silly. It's financially unsound. Why would you do that?
Is this Al Gore who's just trying desperately to make a new movie? You see, the Olympics aren't good
really,
because global warming.
It would be the best of both worlds, right? You go to your Olympic venue, you go to your snowboarding, and then you go to the beach after the cameras are turned off.
Did you see the cross-country people were skiing in shorts?
Yeah.
There were a couple of them who cut their expensive suits and were basically doing cross-country skiing in shorts because it was so hot.
Yeah, and of course they were cutting uniforms right and left. Athletes were blaming everybody and everything for unexpectedly poor performance. The U.S. folks they ditched their Under Armour in favor of a new kind of speed suit for the speed skating, and sure enough, it didn't change anything.
No, it had no effect at all.
Father, does this have anything to do you think, with the notion of does this have anything at all to do with the notion of everybody gets a trophy?
I wondered about that because, Americans have such an entitlement mentality. We're supposed to win everything. We're supposed to be first in everything. And, of course, there's so much propaganda that, we should not think that way, and it's somehow bad to think about exceptionalism. But partly it's just we're a giant country, and so we get a lot of people to choose from. And part of it is that we've been doing this for a good long while, and we're good at it. But it's somewhat bizarre because we're starting to see this entitled generation that feels like, we have to work a little bit, but not too much. And then we get there, and it turns out that other people who are working like crazy beat us. And then what do we blame? Well, we blame everything.
Aerodynamics on my speed suit.
Yeah, but when you're losing by 3 seconds, it's not aerodynamics in your speed suit. If you're losing by, an 18th of a second, maybe, but
it's probably your calf muscle if it's 3 seconds.
Yeah, or you're just lazy.
You didn't train hard enough, Jeff. What if there were like sound engineer Olympics? Jeff would win.
No way.
Well,
oh my heavens!
As long as they didn't have the scandals, if they didn't have the, if somebody who, because we also had scandals, and we had all kinds of questions about vote fixing and result fixing, and you got to wonder, Jeff is the best sound engineer on the planet Earth, but what happens if he's in Louisiana, and in Louisiana he's going to win no matter what, but what happens if you go to Arkansas?
Right.
It's a different world up there.
It is.
There are Yankees up there.
We do our fair bit of dogging here of kind of laying it on thick about all the things that go wrong with the Olympics, but there have been triumphs, have there not? Canada, for example, who knew? They didn't do so well in when the Winter Olympics were in their home country, but boy, did they clean up hockey and some of the other sports as well.
This is, I hear, because Roberto Veri of the Catholic Underground Friendship,
our Toronto bureau chief.
Yeah, he bought no less than 600,000 miraculous medals and passed them out. That's what was my understanding.
Surprisingly, yes.
This is what happens. Right. When you pass out miraculous medals, St. Margaret Mary Alacoque is there for you. And what are you going to do?
And of course, that also
that's not true, by the way.
No, he didn't do that. But it bespeaks of the faith of the Olympians. We did see a little bit. We didn't hear much, but there was a little bit about the faith of the Olympians from around the world. They get a chance to be, the Tim Tebow of the world for those few seconds of their time on camera. And for example, Father, there was a Korean figure skater who
Yoona Kim, I think is her name, and she, if you watched, in the free program, she just knocked it out of the ballpark, and she flew like a rocket and did some amazing stuff. And of course, a lot of the other people who were supposed to be better at everything were just falling left and right. And this girl was like a rock. Everything landed. It was amazing. And then, of course, it comes down to the finals of the free skate program, or the what do they call it? The free long program or something like that. And her competitor, the only one who's anywhere close to her, is Japan. Japan falls twice in her performance. And then, suddenly the votes come up, and Japan is by a long way ahead. Huge. Or not Japan, Russia. I'm sorry. Russia is way, way out in the lead. And you go, how did that? What? That's crazy. And of course, there's your conspiracy theory footage from right afterwards, where the Russian judge is hugging this person, and everybody goes, vote fixing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's been proven that it happened there before, but this is the first kind of big, did that happen here kind of thing. And but anyway, CNA, Catholic News Agency, did an entire write-up on her, and they after they noticed that she begins all of her routines by simply bowing her head, and then she makes the sign of the cross, then she goes out on the ice. And it was really neat, because in 2010, Yoona Kim was actually part of a campaign with the Korean bishops, the National Conference of Korean Bishops, in a national campaign to explain the rosary to the Korean public at large.
Wow.
Imagine something like that in the U.S. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And of course, she herself wears a rosary ring that a lot of her fans think is a wedding ring.
Oh, and so she has to explain that, I would imagine.
Yes, I'm interested in being married. Yes, please come talk.
It may happen. Yeah, and then of course there's also a Filipino figure skater, Michael Christian Martinez. He's also a Catholic. He credits his faith with getting him through daily life in the Olympics. I know one of the Russians did his long program on, I guess it was the figure skating to a Jesus Christ Superstar tune, which was very. In fact, the only thing that the commentators would say is, "That's a bold choice." That's the only thing you heard, because they had no other way to frame it, But I did notice that a lot with especially a lot of the Russian, some of the European, the younger folks that were involved. They had little simple crosses on, and that's not something that you really expect to see in the Olympics. And then, of course, the story of Rebecca Desault, who is a biathlete from Denver. She's a cross-country skier. She was also featured in a Catholic news agency story. She said, quote, "It's not like I've arrived and I've got this all figured out, but I'm an experiment daily, and I do waver between vanity. I waver between lack of commitment. I'm totally human, but really when I can see a bigger picture than just myself, I can have motivation." She spoke at a Theology on Tap at the beginning of February in Denver. And she says, and very well, that her faith is an important component to who she is as an athlete and as an Olympian. And so we ask the question, is it really appropriate to think about asking God to make you a superstar in your sport? Father, what do you think? Is it appropriate to do that?
I think it's absolutely 100% appropriate. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute important thing to bring God into that, to help to pray to the Lord that you are able to compete and compete well. Like whenever we pray, of course, we pray that God's will be done, but we also say that as St. Paul does, we run so as to win. And of course, we do that. St. Paul says, athletes, and he's speaking about the Olympics, oddly enough. Athletes run to win a crown that fades, but we as Christians, we run to win a crown that does not fade. But there is a direct analog between the sporting world and our spiritual life. And so would you say, Father, that excellence in a sport is a kind of icon? It's a sign.
Right. Provided that it's something that is really done for the glory of God, and it's something that because it's done for the glory of God, it is able to point beyond itself. It does become an icon. It becomes a window into something deeper where you say, I'm devoting myself to excellence in this matter because this is a gift that God has given me, and I owe God offering all that I have. And if this is where he wants me to be, then that's actually what I preached about this evening at Mass. If this is what God wants, then this is what I will pursue, and I will pursue it with my whole focus. That's
right. And so, Jeff, you be the best sound engineer that you can.
I thank you for that, and I that's always a great goal, and I've asked God sometimes to because I'm so right-brained, as we found out this week, that I need help sometimes connecting the dots. So I just go like, Father, just give me just help me to mentally visualize what it is that we need to do to complete this task or whatever it is. So I do count on those prayers and guidance.
Nice to see that Aquinas is on our side with this, So with the whole Olympic things, we talked about all of the humanness, right? Perhaps even the baseness that comes from realizing there's money to be had in the Olympics and all sorts of corrupt things happening here and there. Do the Olympics really matter? Does this really matter for a person of faith?
I think it does, because faith is something that has to be a part of everything that we do. And so, if God has given me the gift to be a great athlete or a great musician or a great writer or whatever it is, even just a great mother, a great farmer, whatever God has given me that gift for, then I think that we need to see excellent examples of it. And even though I may never, ever be able to do what those people do, that gives me a sense of inspiration. Like, this is something that I should try to do better. And in fact, I should try to do the things that I can do well as I possibly can. I may never be an Olympian, but I want to do the very, very best I can for the gifts that God has given me. I think it matters a lot to see people pursuing excellence.
That's right, which is why the Olympics are important. It's more than just about the ad dollars, but seeing those who are pursuing even an earthly crown, right, an earthly laurel wreath, can be an important sign for us of doing what is good and doing what is well. And that faith, the faith component of myself as an athlete, is not just something that's kind of an add-on. You don't pay You don't have the app and then you pay $3.99 for the Faith plugin.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way. No, Faith is an integral part. It's a guiding principle. In fact, Rebecca DeSalt, the cross-country skier from Denver, says, quote, "Be Catholic first, and anything that flows from that is a rich bonus," unquote. Spoken like a young Catholic athlete. Would that be a cathlete? I don't know. Gosh,
Clever.
You see what I did there? I'm going to give myself that point.
There you go.
Mike in the chat room says, even a non-Christian or a Catholic athlete gets a lesson in patience and in fortitude being an Olympic athlete. Yeah, which is very true. And Mike also says that sport is a kind of microcosm. He gets a point for using a long word, for aiming at perfection and the struggle we have doing it. Exactly. And so it is a beautiful thing to see the Olympic Games. And of course, the graphics were pretty. That's the sort of stuff that I notice. What did you notice about the Olympics? Backchat at CatholicUnderground.com. You're listening to the Catholic Underground. I'm Father Chris Decker. Alongside me, we got Father Ryan Humphreys via Skype, and Jeff Blackwell in the audio zone. Audio zone.
That's what it is.
And Mary Kay Taylor is switching the video. So you see all those pretty pictures. She's doing it quite nice. Well, all right. In a move that can only be labeled as desperate. Desperate. NBC is reviving the low-rated, critically panned sci-fi show Heroes as a one-season, 13-episode miniseries style event. Now, Father, I haven't watched Heroes, but I believe you celebrate the entire catalog. You saw the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched. I'm taking advantage of streaming technology.
Mm-hmm.
I watched everything. Now, the first season I watched as it was happening, and it was unarguably one of the finest pieces of mainstream sci-fi I have ever seen. It was
Really? How many seasons did it run?
It ended up running 4.
Okay.
And the first season was 22 episodes, and it was doit. It was perfectly written. It was extremely good. The casting was excellent, and it was just enough of that kind of mystery and what I've got to find out why this is the way it is. It was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant. Season 2, fell to pieces, and season 3 was an absolute disaster and completely unwatchable. And season 4 should never be spoken of again.
We won't speak of it here.
And it's the kind of thing where even The Big Bang Theory made fun of Heroes and said, he goes, maybe we should just act like NBC and just make it terrible so no one will watch it anymore.
Oh, that's terrible because they're on a competing network.
Right.
Yeah.
But well, no, these are both NBC shows.
No, Big Bang Theory is not.
CBS.
Oh, it's CBS?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
My apologies.
Yeah.
At any rate, NBC is talking very reverently about the show as if it was absolutely world-changing. They say, quote, enormous impact, quote, visionary creator, quote, that kind of resonance doesn't come around often.
But it's coming around again.
But
if
it's
you
going
wait for
to
a few
come back
months.
again. Wikipedia, on the other hand, says the quote, the show's finale placed last in its time slot. And quote, the season 4 premiere of Heroes was the lowest rated episode of the series to that point. But it wasn't going to be the lowest ever because good Lord. It was terrible. The show was canceled in 2010. And so now, for no reason whatsoever, they're going to bring it back less than 5 years later, but they're only going to do one season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be like a BBC style thing where you're going to do 6 episodes and see. They're going to do 13 episodes in a standalone thing. And they're going to bring back some of the cast, but not others.
The ones they can pay to come back.
I guess. I mean, Masaoka was super excited. He is the young Japanese man. He played a lot of different shows around the time Heroes was on, and now he's faded to obscurity.
Yeah.
But he was excited on his Twitter feed. He was like, I'm going to unsheath the old sword and get ready, start practicing again. But it's just so incredibly odd.
Yeah,
because the show started out great, and now they're just going to bring it back in 2015, but no one's really sure why.
Well, I have a theory.
Okay.
My theory is that CBS has overtaken NBC for quite a few years now as must-see TV. You know, NBC was the one who coined must-see TV. And CBS just has had better writing, has had better sitcoms, has had better drama. And, of course, they've got about 1,700 crime dramas on every night. Mm-hmm. So, people like the crime drama. I want to say this might be NBC's shot at doing what ABC is doing pretty well with Marvel's The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're trying to aim for something that's somewhere in between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Big Bang Theory. They want to get the geek crowd, and so they know they can't do it for an entire season, so they're going to do it for a little more than a half season. That's my hunch.
Well, I'll tell you, my hope is that Tim Kring, who I think has potential, because that first season was amazing, if he was given the time, if he's taken the last 4 years and really crafted another amazing 13 episodes or even more, but he's really crafted something in the story he's got to tell, he's really got it together, then it could be something amazing. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's no longer a blank slate. And so we're already clued in to what's going on. Mm-hmm. And
I think it could be potentially very good. And that's one of the things that I'm just wondering about is this 13 episode thing. NBC is trying something, albeit I've got to give them props for doing that. But what does this say, if anything, about the TV industry as a whole, Father?
I think it says that the TV industry is very, very nervous. The broadcast, the big four broadcast industry is nervous. And they should be, because think about HBO, Starz, Amazon, and Netflix are all producing top-notch, raunchy, but top-notch television right now. It's very, very highly rated. Everybody wants to see what's going to happen on Black Sails or Game of Thrones or, whatever. I've watched some of the Amazon stuff, and it's a little raunchier than I'm interested in watching. But the thing about the startups is, in Silicon Valley is really good television.
Yeah. And they start at a place of broadcast excellence. It's not like they've got a few cameras together in there. No, Amazon's gone all in. Hulu has gone all in to produce this stuff. They have created a studio.
Right, they're making it from scratch, and Hulu wants very much to be number 5, and those are people who are going to step all over because of their internet access, and because the young people want the internet, they're going to be stepping all over NBC and CBS, who are way late to the party on this. Now you add to that lesser cable networks like the Travel Channel, the Weather Channel, Discovery, Lifetime, and even CNN.
True.
Are trying to get into that series-style TV market. You've got the BBC out of the UK. You've got 7 and 10 out of Australia. Yep. You've got a Showcase up in Canada, all of which are starting to find niche markets in the US and are selling their products along. You have Sci-Fi and things like that have been doing this for a while. And you've got the big moneymaker shows like Survivor, The Voice, American Idol, Saturday Night Live even, that are just better to consume in small portions on YouTube the next day than they are to actually watch a 2-hour marathon of The Voice. Yeah. And so I think that NBC is in a very difficult spot, and so is CBS and ABC, because people are looking and going, I don't really know that I want to watch commercials. Mm-hmm. I don't really know that I want to watch least common denominator television. I don't really know that I want to watch two broke girls, try to make innuendos and push as much as they possibly can past the censors. If you want to do that, then just go watch HBO, and it's, I think NBC is very, very nervous, and they're shooting at anything they can possibly find to try to get them out of this. But I think they're falling into a hole. I don't think there's no way out for those networks.
I wonder if this isn't possibly a sign of hope, because as you say, it seems like on a lot of network television, it's what can we get past the censors that's just enough of titillation to get somebody to watch. And that's just not working. That's not proving good writing, right? Any comedy, any comedian who goes at the Improv, who has to resort to using bad language and innuendo to get his joke across, is probably not a dyed-in-the-wool good comedian to begin with. And I wonder if this kind of a challenge that's coming from some of the other studios that are upstarts, there is the challenge, let's make good programming. Let's make something that is worth watching, something that is well written, something that I would pay to download, because that's where we're getting. I think is we're moving into kind of a pay-per-view culture, right? How many folks are paying for their Netflix subscription and binge watching all these old series? how many people are paying up front as a television series is coming on network TV. You know, on iTunes, you can buy the whole series before it comes out, and each new show shows up on your iDevice. I wonder if maybe there isn't, I hate to use a Christian word, but is there hope in the industry for actually better content?
I don't know that there's hope. I think that there's the demand, and where there is demand, people will find a way to provide supply.
Yeah.
And this might be something that's going to be beneficial for the industry. Unfortunately, because it means that we'll be stepping behind the censors, it seems like all of this material has gone out of its way to add raunch and sex and cussing just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can understand how some shows really do need to, you know, like for a pirate show, you feel like, well, okay, there's got to be a certain amount of raunch to that because it's pirates.
Yeah.
But you've got a show about a startup in Silicon Valley, you know, and you've got some extremely vulgar and lewd stuff going on in the very first part of the first episode, and you say, you know, this is unnecessary, and
right.
It's so I think it's hopeful in one sense, but it's also detrimental because it's also the normalizing of increasingly raunchy, increasingly pornographic, you know, increasingly disgusting programming that's a cheap shot. It's everything becomes fart jokes, you know, everything becomes toilet humor.
Yeah.
And sadly, it seems like that's the real direction we're going.
Which, of course, is why we need good programming, and that can come from perhaps a Christian or a Catholic audience. Jeff, do you binge watch things on Netflix?
There are a couple of. In fact, I started watching House of Cards mainly because my career has been in producing political advertising for over 20 years now, and the storyline is excellent, but they have these raunchy scenes, and they're not very long, but it's like why do they even have to do that? I loved that when I started watching Boardwalk Empire. I think I watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and then I had to stop because the profanity is just over the top and it's nonstop. And then of course, you know, they're going to throw the sex scenes in there, and it's like it's nothing really to do with the storyline, and it just kind of ticks me off. But I do have maybe some good news, and maybe you know something about this, and speak up if you do, fathers. A friend of mine who actually worked for it was Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, many years ago, is working with some folks out of New York right now, and I can't give you the name because I can't remember it, and I don't know how far along they are in this process. But
you didn't sign an NDA, you just can't remember.
No, right? I just can't remember, and that goes with age. But anyway, they're coming up with a system, and I don't know how if it's something they do in the editing or it's a box that you attach to your set, but where it kind of takes these programs, whatever program it is, and it edits out or filters out the language, the sex scenes, and stuff like that. It makes it more family friendly, and you still get the point of the entertainment and the storyline. So maybe there is hope, Father.
Yeah, well, and I remember that sort of thing. Although, again, wouldn't it be better just to create good programming from the standpoint, you know? Because I can only imagine having a machine try and pick out profanity and you know, scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, even on the airlines, whenever you're traveling, they do have the airline versions which have that stuff removed from it, so it is doable, and maybe it is the airline versions they're showing. So I don't know.
I just think we need to ask Mr. Bill Cosby for help.
You see, what we need is just more sweaters and trips to the park and a puppy.
There you go.
Yeah,
but the man did some of the funniest comedy I've ever heard, and it's clean.
Yeah,
yep.
And you learn something at the end. You know what? That was one of the things I did enjoy about TGIF. You remember TGIF on the ABC network? You had your Family Matters, your Step by Step, your Perfect Strangers, and whatnot. It was built upon a family coming together, sitting around the television, and watching this other family try and get it right. Mm. And they were kind of carbon copies of the same show, but with different dynamics. Right. And as you watch it, you see things develop, but usually at the end of the episode, you go, oh, there's a moral there. Imagine television and radio as a way to distribute morals, how our society should live. And of course, I think we're still doing that. Not all morals are good ones, right?
And there used to be the National Association of Broadcasters used to have the television code, which programs would proudly air at the end of their show during the credits to say, hey, this one complies with the good broadcasting television code. So
that's true. Yeah, we don't have a seal on our show either.
Well, that's true. We could make one up though, but I mean, I find myself going to Netflix and watching. I love the Rockford Files, for example. You know, it's got that drama, and some of it's cheesy. Thank you. Oh, but so that's kind of where my television watching is. I want to find something that's entertaining, but not I have to drag my ears and spirit through the mud.
Of course, I like the notion of the 13 episode series.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's not the networks listening to consumers and how they want to consume entertainment. Yeah. You know, and then after the 13 episodes, if there's just this groundswell and everyone goes, I've got to have more.
Yeah.
Then maybe they have one or two windows, little two storylines that they can pick up again.
And if it sells, as far as the networks are concerned, then that's their. What am I trying to say there?
Yeah. If it sells, then that's their green light to go ahead. Yeah,
produce more.
I think, as you mentioned, Father, it's also a possibility the YouTubeification of media.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it.
Yeah, because even YouTube now is getting into the production of its own content and that sort of thing. And I tell you, there's so much on YouTube. Even now, YouTube has just redesigned their website to make it a little bit more mobile friendly, I guess, or it looks kind of more mobily oriented. And I wonder if they're not intending for you to be able to take YouTube with you wherever on whatever device, and setting it up for this kind of thing. Where I would expect to be paying a YouTube license fee in the next year or so to have access to all of their original programming. You know, that kind of a thing. Well, phew, we're gonna leave it there. I think we should leave it there. But we don't forget that that we do move in through the entertainment industry still, and 2014 moving into maybe the Christian sphere is shaping up to be the year of the Bible movie in the mainstream. And Jeff, there are a number of Bible movies. Hey kids,
the Bible.
There are movies, Jeff. Movies. There are a number of Bible-based movies that are coming out now.
Yeah, and here's some of that hope we were just talking about, Father. And Mark Burnett of reality TV fame threw everyone a curve with this amazing Bible miniseries last year. So this year, and I've seen he and is it Roma Downey on TV doing these interviews, and I've seen him on the major networks talking about the release of Son of God for the big screen, and it's going to be a first major theatrical release of a Bible-based film since the Passion of the Christ and the Nativity Story back in 2004 and 2006, respectively. But I can tell you right now, it will not be the last. So, and I believe the Son of God, it premieres, is it next Friday?
Yeah, it's coming soon.
Okay. Anyway, to a theater near you.
That's right.
But I also saw a little hype this week about Noah, starring Russell Crowe, and the trailer, which it really looks amazing. But from some of the pre-screening data that's come out, it looks like that it's going to be more of another environmentalism type of fable, but wrapped in a biblical flood, if you will.
So like, why are you crushing my trees? I'm going to send a flood kind of thing, instead of, it was really about, sodomy.
God's coming down to take you out because you're not using incandescent light bulbs properly.
Wait a minute, Al Gore, are you... Is that
too much cow flatulence? That's what that is.
It doesn't have anything to do with all those immoral things that are happening over in that city.
Thou hast put methane in my atmosphere.
Pay no attention to the evil, death-defying, soul-crushing sin. Look instead at the tree. You put a nail in it.
Oh, so basically it's like the Lorax. That's what they've boiled it down to.
Oh, that's a very good analogy.
I speak for the trees have no tongue, so I'm going to send a flood.
Oh, well. We'll see what happens with that. I know that some Christian audiences have been disappointed with Noah. in that aspect of the story. But as far as, the big screenness of it, as far as, all the effects and what have you, it looks pretty amazing. Also, Heaven is for Real is coming out, the near-death experience of Colton Burpo, which became a
That's right.
best-selling.
He was the young'un, right? I think he was one of those young'uns.
He's the little boy. Yeah. He's like 4.
Yeah, yes. And this story, let's see, where was I?
This is basically his story of a near-death
right, exactly.
experience or a vision that he had.
It is. It's a pro-religion type story that's going to be out. And then Exodus, starring Christian Slater.
No, Christian Bale.
I'm sorry, Christian.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, Bale.
He is Batman.
Ben Kingsley.
Now he's Moses. I'm Moses. Actually, I can't back that. I don't know.
I'm both.
Y'all can just take it from here.
I'm both of them.
I'm just going to listen.
No, you're doing fine.
So,
welcome to the show, Jeff.
Oh, goodness.
So, yeah, Ben Kingsley, Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver. These are big names.
Right. So that's now wait. The guy Bill Collage, yes.
Mm-hmm. And
Adam Cooper.
Now these folks, they aren't well known for biblical movies,
right? And it's interesting. They did pen some kind of raunchy college humor type movies like Accepted, and also I did see Tower Heist. I got a kick out of that. I thought it was pretty, good versus evil type thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie Exodus releases on the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, December 12th of this year. So,
okay.
Yeah, that to look forward to.
But it doesn't stop there.
No, and finally, no one less than Joel Osteen is behind potentially the best out of these 5 movies we've talked about. Mary, Mother of Christ, which is being touted as a prequel to the Passion of Christ. And none of the writing staff from the Passion of Christ are involved, but the presence of Christian and possibly Catholic screenwriters, Barbara can you help me with the last name? Nicolosi. Is hopeful. It's a good sign.
Yeah. So are you going to see any of these, Jeff?
I would. I'd love to see Noah on the big screen because of that epicness that being with.
Floods need a lot of space.
Yes, they do. They do take up a lot of space. But I'm probably going to see every one of them.
Yeah. How about you, Father Ryan? Have you picked out any that you want to see?
I'm definitely going to see Son of God, and I will definitely see Mary, Mother of the Christ. Exodus, I want somebody else to see first because, if I want the kind of, I can go back and see Ben-Hur. I can see the cutesy one that DreamWorks made some years ago, The Prince of Egypt. If I need to see Batman as Moses,
let my people go.
No, I'm gonna want to have someone else see
That's
that first.
Great.
And give me a
that
little
deserves
bit
of a promo and a ding.
That's right. Done. Sorry.
So yeah, I don't know, but I'll definitely see Son of God and Mary.
I did. I don't think I've seen any of the adverts for Mary, Mother of the Christ, but I have seen Son of God. I have seen that's actually been in previews or for some of the films that I've seen in the theater, and it looks pretty compelling. It really does. I suppose the question is this though: is any publicity for Christianity good publicity? And more directly, should we be excited that Noah and Moses and Mary are on the big screen no matter what the story is? So even depending upon the slant that the director or the screenwriter takes, is it just anything goes, Father?
I don't think so. The new evangelization, of which I'm spending a lot of time kind of thinking about, depends upon correcting false perceptions of Christianity, not reinforcing them.
Yeah.
And so all of these films run the risk of pushing even more false notions of Christianity, although a lot of them are Old Testament based. Every year, remember, Lent begins with that story of Satan twisting the words of Scripture in order to trick or to blaspheme.
Right.
And I think with things like Noah and Exodus, and especially Heaven is for Real, we might very well be seeing a veiled attack on real Christianity, consciously or unconsciously, in an effort to marginalize the faith by making it more of a fairy tale than something that is really possible. And so I'm not saying that's the way it's going to be, and I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but I'm just very anxious about the fact that this might come back to bite us, because it's done it before, it really has.
And
especially Heaven is for Real, because that's some goofy pop religion nonsense in that book. And all of my kids at St. Mary's think it is just made of magic and puppies, and it's a messed up, goofy, non-true, non-compatible with Catholicism, pop religion garbage, and yet people are going to flock to it because Big Joel Osteen's got his name on it, and a lot of Catholics are going to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, again, it's worth noting a show or a movie like Heaven is for Real. It's based upon the images supposedly of a 4-year-old or so child, and I would presume that he didn't have a team of theologians that looked over this stuff before it was marketed. This is a kid's kind of telling of what's going on, and so that's one of the things that kind of worries me. I mean, all media, especially Bible media, if you will, should be oriented towards the truth. And I frankly get fatigued with all the misconceptions about God that work their way into the mainstream lingo. Some of these movies and series, I think, too, run that risk. That's not to say that individual scenes can't be done well, even if they are apocryphal. I'm thinking about like the scene with Mary and Jesus in The Passion of the Christ, where they're at home and they show a little bit of the home life of Mary and Jesus. Of course, it's not scriptural, but they're just kind of playing on, well, if we know this about Mary, if we know this about Jesus, then what can we say about their home life? That's one thing. But just some of the, for example, maybe like of people becoming angels. Well, we know that people don't become angels when they die. It doesn't happen that way. It's theologically impossible. God has all of the angels he will need. There's enough space for everyone, you see. And so people don't become another type of being.
Right.
But that's worked its way into the mainstream lingo. If one of our loved ones dies, we say, well, they're an angel now. They've got their wings. No, they don't. They don't have wings. We won't need wings in heaven.
Right.
Unless it's on your PF Flyer sneakers, which we know everyone wears in heaven. I worry about, as they're saying in the chat room, it seems like a very personal account of what happens in heaven, or of like the shack, that sort of thing, this kind of alternate view of the Trinity. I'm surprised that hasn't been made into a movie yet. It's dangerous stuff, but not always, right? If it's done well, if it's done according to the truth. But it is, you have to watch with, golly, how do you say it, Father? You have to watch with kind of theologian goggles.
Yeah,
not everybody has that.
Well, in a certain sense, that's the church's job.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's a lot of what the new evangelization is going to have to do. As I said, is going to have to be confronting misinformation, that comes from these biblical movies, because I read a great article actually recently, and we don't really have time to get into it, in First Things, where the guy was talking about how different it is for St. Paul than it is from where we are now. And he said St. Paul was talking to pagans. Easy enough. These pagans wanted forgiveness. They wanted to understand how they could be saved. They just didn't know what to do. And he said nowadays people are kind of neo-pagan in that they don't necessarily want to be saved. They're convincing themselves that all these deep human things are not things. It's just a new kind of paganism. Yeah. But the thing that was amazing is he has a quotation in it, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, people have just enough Christianity, just enough spores of the Christian message, misunderstood, that they are allergic to it. And it's a really, really evocative way to describe it, because he's exactly right. People know just enough Christianity, and they know it wrongly enough where they say, this can't be true. It's ridiculous. There wasn't a little drummer boy there at the nativity scene, and people don't become angels when bells ring. Right. And, and you go, well, of course they don't. But that's what's gotten into their mind through well-meaning, but theologically inept programming, most of it coming from Hollywood. Yeah. Even movies that we like The Bells of St. Mary's and the Cardinal. So, I'm very anxious about movies like this, because they just kind of undo what little work we do correcting the errors, because they're not theologically accurate. So I don't know.
Well, it sounds to me like our next show we should address the new evangelization in greater detail.
We can do all that you want. Plenty of that.
Turns out we got a show. We can do that on the show.
Week after week.
Week after week after week after blessed week. Yeah. So let us know what you think about all of this as well, because you're the ones who are going to the movies. You're the ones who are watching this. In the chat room, Gus says neo-pagan. He likes that term, and that's really true. I think that there's some truth to that, and it's kind of like knowing just enough about how a gun works to be dangerous. I think you're right in that, Father Ryan. Sometimes we know just enough about what we think is Christianity to begin to turn away from it, to say, well, if that's what it's about, then I don't know. That just makes me itch the wrong way. And so people do start looking towards something, right? They start looking for something to replace it. And ultimately, one of the things that we use to replace our experience of religion, of faith, are almost always not faith, right? They're always that we try to look for things of this world, which actually, if you listen to the gospel this weekend, if you're playing for the home game, if you're playing the home game, it's all about that, right? That to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect is not to be perfect in the eyes of the world, and to look towards what the world would consider foolishness, namely loving boldly. And if that is what's portrayed, that agape love, the laying down one's life for one's friend and one's enemy, then we can begin to talk about truth on the big screen. Anyway, that's my 2 cents, and that sound means my time is up. So I don't know, Father. I guess maybe we should just go to that part of the show that we like to call
the CU Pick of the Week.
For our first CU Pick of the Week, Jeff.
Yes?
Like winter, Lent is coming.
It is indeed, and in fact, it was mentioned at Mass this morning, and that's why it kind of said, well, I need to start getting prepared for that. And I was wondering, is there an app for that? And certainly there is. There's a few. But one that I came across that I liked a lot is, I'm going to put my specs on here because I'm going to pull this up.
Oh, you're going to do it live right here on the show.
You.
Oh, my goodness.
And wow. It's really nice.
That's bold, Jeff.
It's live.
That's right.
Broadcasting. But the Meditations for Lent is, and in fact, I think if you were to type in Lent in searching for this app, it's probably going to be one of the first that comes up. But it's really designed for the 63 days of Lent, and it's all based upon Saint Thomas Aquinas. And so it's just meditations taken from his sermons. And there's some beautiful icons in here, but it's short and sweet, and it gets right to the point, and it's for every day during Lent to kind of help keep you on track. And I'm just loving what I'm seeing already. There's like a countdown to Lent, then when Lent begins, and just every day
it counts up.
It does, right?
To Easter, does. Yeah.
But let me see if I can...
Are you kind of a morning reflection guy, Jeff?
Yeah. Here's one of the icons that we're showing for our TV viewers. Really gorgeous artwork. I am. In fact, I like to get up in the quiet of the morning before everybody... And, I mean, the dogs are right there by me, but I'll say my rosary to start the day off right. Or this would be great, do reflections. My wife and I, in fact, she picked up a book at church today to help with that morning reflections before we get started.
Very nice.
Before we even put on the coffee.
It's neat that you can do that with your phone these days.
Oh, it is. It is. Certainly is.
That's part of the reason we're here with you, folks.
So in the show notes, there's some links to where you can find out more about it.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Jeff. Getting us. I can't believe Lent is almost here.
I know.
And Father Ryan, your pick of the week has nothing to do with Lent.
No, not even a little bit, but thank you. The website I want to recommend this week is called Duolingo.
See,
it's a great little website that really started off with a fairly simple mission, which was, hey, why don't we help people speak Spanish better? And it turned out that the system is incredibly good. It's easy to use. It gamifies the whole thing. And so it's incredibly fun. It's incredibly free. And they have, I'm just trying to go to the website now to see what languages you can choose from.
Spanish, French, Italian, German, and Portuguesa.
As well as English.
No way.
From those languages.
Wow.
So like if you, let's say you speak Spanish or Chinese simplified or French or Russian or Arabic or Polish or Greek or Korean or Hungarian or Indonesian or Romanian or Dutch or Japanese or Hindi or German or Turkish or Portuguese or Italian, you can learn Spanish from those languages. You can learn French from those languages, or you can learn English from those languages.
Wowzer.
And it's remarkable how incredibly good this website is. I've used it, and my Spanish has grown dramatically.
Wow.
So easy to use. They have a great iPhone app, a great Android app. The web app is very good. They have a website as well as the app in Chrome. It's just killer. And even if you know a language, you just want to keep your fluency up. Like, Father, your Spanish is very good, but this would be a really good way to just kill 20 minutes in the store. And the way they do it is you can continue to learn the language, or you do what's called practice your skills or strengthen skills. You get 15 questions. Some of them are to translate from, say, Spanish to English. Some are
preguntas?
Sorry. Some are to translate from Spanish to English, some from English to Spanish, some are identify the picture, some are listen to, some are speak into the microphone.
It's like CrossFit for your brain, right? It's like
it's great.
It's
I
like
just
keeping
can't
all
say
the
enough good
muscles
things
working.
about it.
My goodness.
And it's good, like I said, even if you already speak the language, it's really good for recharging and making sure you know that you're squared away. Great website, free, Duolingo, Duolingo.com. The link is in the show notes. Do yourself a favor. Great website.
Duolingo, I'm going to take you out for a nice seafood dinner, and I might call you again. This is a really awesome idea. Where have you been all my life, Duolingo? Yeah.
The other thing I want to recommend, though, before we go away from this, is there is a Lenten mission with Father John Zulsdorf.
Oh, friend of the Catholic Underground.
At the Minor Basilica of the Immaculate Conception in Natchitoches. It will be the 11th, 12th, and 13th of March. There will be a priest event the night of the 10th. Father Z, of course, is What Does the Prayer Really Say? He's a great blog, a friend of the Catholic Underground. And so, Father Chris, I know you're coming up for it, but please, if you'd like to come, it's going to be very good. It'll be at 6 p.m. those nights. If you live anywhere near Minor Basilica, it is worth your time, and so please plan to come.
Yeah, Father Z also speaks very, very well. Of course, you may know him from his blog, but hearing him in person, he's one of these folks that could probably talk about anything for a very long period of time, but he's not boring. He really he invites you to enter into what he's speaking about. I still remember at Catholicon of happy memory. His treatise on Intermarifica, the document on social communication, and this was just for kind of the organizers of the event at the VIP dinner, and it was just a tremendous talk. And so I can only imagine to have him for a few days to do a Lenten mission, how neat that's going to be. So I'm looking forward to that myself. So yeah, near the Minor Basilica. Do you have dates for that, Father, again?
Yes, 11, 12, and 13 of March at 6 p.m. And we have an Indulgence Basilican feast day on the 13th. That's the anniversary of the election of the Holy Father. So that's an Indulgence feast at the Minor Basilica.
11, 12, and 13. Oh, so I'll get to participate in the Indulgence. Hacha! Very good. And my pick of the week is something I stumbled upon this week, as a matter of fact, called, I don't know if it's Selfie. I think it's Selfie. I want to think that it's Selfie.com. Because I don't like the idea of selfie. I don't like that word. So basically, if you've created an ebook, if you've created music, maybe a video, if you've created software, anything digital that you want to sell directly to an audience, all you have to do is upload the product file, set the price, and share a buy now link with your followers. And Selfie does the rest. And I was actually buying an online digital comic with this. It was a 99-cent comic. Basically, the way that it works, you upload your file, you put the button on your website, it will track your statistics and everything.
Wow.
And it takes 5% off the top, and then, of course, whatever PayPal uses, PayPal takes from the sale, but I guess you adjust that in. And so if you have Jeff, if you think about creating an ebook yourself, something in the public domain or something like that, and you want to offer it, you can set it up and it'll go right into your PayPal account. It's a really, really neat service.
Wow, that is real cool.
And it was easy. It was really easy to use.
Oh, well, that even better.
Yeah, Jeff likes easy.
I do.
Especially in the digital world,
Absolutely.
That's right. It's on, off, up, down, right, left, right? Yeah, basically, you're a joystick control. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's my. Have you seen this before, Father?
No, I haven't, but I actually like the idea very much because I do produce a lot of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so some of it could be offered by way of donation to your parish or something like that,
Right.
I'm sure.
And we actually use Stripe for online donations, so it's
Oh, so
it's a
and it
really,
does
really
it
good
plays
deal.
with Stripe really well too. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Now,
like Stripe a lot.
Is Stripe the thing that that accepts credit card payments?
Yes.
Okay, that's what that is. Yeah, I don't know.
Squarespace integrates with Skype 100%, so that's why I'm using them.
Okay, and
Yeah.
Stripe, not Skype.
Stripe.
You know what we're talking about. You're good people out there. All right. So that's our picks of the week. Let us know what your picks of the week are, because we know you have them. Won't you tell us them? Backchat at CatholicUnderground.com is the way to do that. Of course, you are always involving yourself on our Facebook page and our Twitter page. You can go to Facebook.com/CatholicUnderground and see what we're up to from week to week. And actually, I like how Father Ryan has begun posting some of the stuff that he puts for Minor Basilica. He's been also cross-posting to our Facebook page, and so make sure that you're a fan of us. If you haven't fanned us yet, then you're probably listening to us on your iPhone. I hear you doing it right now. In fact, you're multitasking right now. So go to your web browser or go to the Facebook app and like us on Facebook, Catholic Underground.
We're less than 250 people away from 5,000 likes.
Oh,
that's right.
There you go.
That's where we want to be. So I'm told. I don't know. But a number of you also support us in your own way. Isn't that right, Jeff? A number of them we are supported by a number of folks.
Yes, we are. Portions of the Catholic Underground are brought to you by audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground. That's audibletrial.com/Catholic Underground.
That's right. And, of course, so many of you support us by your prayer and by your financial assistance. You're the one who keeps us on the air. You, right there. We actually are in the midst of upgrading some of our technology so that we can record the program in a reasonable amount of time and get it out to you. And so you're helping us with the purchase of that. And so check your credit card status and make sure that if you are helping us out financially, that all your data is up to date. So that's the way to do that. If you want the show notes, if you want everything that accompanies this episode and the podcast, if you're thinking, hey, what was that thing they were talking about? Well, I promise you, Father Ryan is on top of things, and he puts that in the show notes. And the show notes are over there on CatholicUnderground.com. You can also find out more about our apostolate, the things that we do, and you can find out ways to connect with us on all of the social media ways that we interact with you. Father Ryan's church is online at minorbasilica.org, and he's at FR Humphreys on Twitter. Thank you, Father Ryan.
It's been my pleasure.
Jeff Blackwell is the tech director for the CU. He's the ruling despot at the Blackwell Communications Group. JeffBlackwell.us and at Jeff Blackwellis on Twitter.
Yes, Father, it's been an honor being here.
Mary Kate Taylor is an evangelist, and in her spare time, she scours YouTube for giggling babies, also giggling kittens. And you know me, I'm Father Chris Decker. Follow me on Twitter at Digital Catholic. You can join us on the interwebs at CatholicUnderground.tv for even more from the CU. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us on the digital continent. We're Catholic Underground. We are Faith Gone Digital. And we, my friends, will see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.